Today. Hotep, hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I'm a talk show host, researcher, lecturer, writer, and historian. Today is Monday, November 28th, 2022, and we are live. Welcome to a special edition of the African History Network show. Normally, we broadcast on Sundays, normally 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard. Normally 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but because of the holiday, the station was shut down. Okay, so we did not broadcast live on Sunday, so we're broadcasting live today. All right, so share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. So we talk about Irene Cara, best known for being in the movie Fame and also singing the theme song to Fame, as well as singing the theme song for Flashdance. Flashdance, What a Feeling in 1983. Also, she co-starred in the movie Sparkle in 1976. Irene Cara passed away at age 63. We got the news on Saturday, November 26th, that Irene Cara had passed away at age 63. She had been performing professionally since the age of 8 years old, So we're going to talk some about Irene Cara and give you an update on what we know so far. A cause of death has, as of yet, not been released, okay? And this came as a shock. We know that back in the 80s, back around 1985 or so, we know she filed a lawsuit against record executive Al Coury, Coury, and she was basically blackballed in the industry for some time. I remember hearing about that back when it happened. Okay, so I think Irene Cara is a very underrated actress and singer. I think she's very underrated, but she was very talented as well. She'll definitely be missed. So we're going to share a interview that she did in 1980 on the Tonight Show. We're going to share that with you. And then also there's a good article from the New York Times on Irene Cara as well. And People Magazine has a good story on her also. We have an update in the Shanquella Robinson saga, okay, dealing with the African-American woman from North Carolina who was killed on a trip in Mexico, 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson. Okay, so we have an update on that case as well. An arrest warrant has been issued. An arrest warrant has been issued for the person who is responsible for her killing. Arrest warrant issued for quote unquote friend of Shanquella who was found dead while on vacation in Mexico. Okay, so we'll talk about that story as well. And then Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is the #1 movie for the third straight week in a row. Okay, and it did about $45 million this past weekend. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, #1 for third straight weekend in a row. I did a presentation on Black Panther: Wakanda Forever on November 19th, 2022. And we have that presentation available on digital download at our website, TheAHNShow.com, TheAHNShow.com. Okay, so we'll give you some more information on that as well. It's available on digital download, and we look at the I do an analysis of the film, but also we look at the Mesoamerican narrative and some Mesoamerican history that we see interwoven into the film. And we look at a shared history of colonization, a shared history of being colonized by Europeans, but especially by the Spanish. Okay. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. We'll talk about Shanquella Robinson as well, and Irene Cara. When I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered back on November 18th, November 18th, we talked about Shanquella Robinson. That was before the arrest warrant had been issued, but we talked about her on that show, and I'm going to share with you an excerpt of what we discussed. Okay, so you don't want to miss that as well. I also will do a brief preview of the 10-week online class that I'm teaching on Wednesdays. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And then on Tuesdays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement of Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter as well. Okay. All right. Let's deal with I want to deal with the first story here, dealing with Irene Cara. So there's a good article from the New York Times. Let's look at the article from the New York Times first, and then we'll look at the piece from People magazine. Irene Cara of Fame and Flashdance singer dies at age 63. Now, we still don't know the cause of death as of yet. Okay. Irene Cara was a childhood star from the Bronx who gained fame in the 1980s as a singer of pop anthems and as the star of the movie Fame. So she portrayed Coco Hernandez in the 1980 movie Fame. We know also co-starring in the movie Fame was the one and only Debbie Allen. Okay. And then the movie became a TV show. Okay. Debbie Allen reprised her role in the TV show. They casted someone else as Coco Hernandez. Irene Cara as Coco Hernandez performing in a scene from the 1980 movie Fame, a former child actor, dancer, and singer. She was the voice behind two of the biggest movie themes of the 1980s. Okay. So Irene Cara, who belted out the tracks of two beloved song and dance movies of the 1980s, Flashdance and Fame, has died. She was 63 years old. Now, her death at her home in Florida was confirmed by her publicist, Judith A. Moose, M-O-O-S-E, Judith A. Moose, on Saturday, November 26. Now, Ms. Moose, who did not specify where in Florida or when Irene Cara died, said the cause was quote unquote unknown and will be released when information is available. The cause of death was unknown and will be released when information is available. Now, Irene Cara was an actor and dancer and singer during her girlhood, during her childhood in the South Bronx. She garnered expectations that she would become a major star. Okay. That never occurred, but she did become known for her contributions to two enduring movies, each of which chronicled the artistic ambitions of people like herself, talented working class city dwellers, Now, she scored her most memorable hit, Flashdance, What a Feeling, with that was in 1983. I remember when the movie Flashdance came out, starring Jennifer Beals. Flashdance, What a Feeling. with a low, deep voice, she gently crooned the confessions that opened the tune, then unleashed a power for sustaining notes in the exclamatory chorus. Now, in 1984, her writing from the song Flashdance What a Feeling earned her an Oscar and Golden Globe Awards for Best Original Song. And she also won a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance. Okay. And I remember when all that happened. Also, now this was after Sparkle. Okay. After she was in the movie Sparkle. And I remember there was an episode of What's Happening, the TV show What's Happening, Raj and Rerun and Dwayne. Hey, 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 hey. And she guest starred on an episode of What's Happening as well, Irene Cara. So she was beautiful, she was talented, she could sing, she had personality, etc. So this came as a shock to everybody. And I've heard the song Fame. I've heard it more in the past 3 days than I've heard it in the past 10 years, because it's been all over social media. There's a performance of her standing at the microphone, dancing, performing it. We shared it on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. People have been sharing performances of her. There's an excerpt of an interview that she did in 1980 on David Letterman, the David Letterman show. That's been floating around on social media. So there's been an outpouring from celebrities like Viola Davis. I saw it on Viola Davis' Facebook page, as well as Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen posted a heartfelt message. We shared that also on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. Also, the message Debbie Allen shared about working with Irene Cara and the death of Irene Cara also. So this comes as a big shock to everyone. If we look here, let me see here. Deborah Cox also did a post as well. I'm scrolling through my timeline here on the African History Network Facebook page. But there was one from Debbie Allen that we shared as well. So, okay, this one right here from Debbie Allen. Let's go to this. Okay, it's gotten 710 likes on our Facebook page. Let's see if we can flip over to this one here. Just a second. Okay, this. Scroll down. Okay, now this is the post from Deborah Cox that we shared. All right, rest in peace to the beautiful Irene Cara. Rest in peace to the beautiful Irene Cara, a huge inspiration to me. That's Deborah Cox, who was born in Canada. Then we have, let's see, let's go down to, there was the post that I did, I shared from right here. Okay, so this is the one that I shared from Debbie Allen. Debbie Allen said, "My heart is broken. Irene Cara was such a gifted and beautiful genius. Her talent and her music will live forever. Forever. Remember her name. #fame," which is a line from the song Fame. Okay. So we see her here. Okay. All right. So there's been an outpouring of messages and support from celebrities. So Viola Davis had a great post on her Instagram page and Facebook page as well. All right, I want to go back to the article from the New York Times. Let's go back to that here. Okay, so in 1984, Irene Cara's writing credit on the song Flashdance What a Feeling earned her Oscar and Golden Globe Awards for Best Original Song, and she also won a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal. Okay, so this sister won an Oscar, she won a Golden Globe Award, and she won a Grammy as well. Okay, very, very talented singer. And this was for the Flashdance What a Feeling was her biggest song. Okay, I remember her more so for Fame. I don't know why, but Flashdance What a Feeling was her biggest song. Okay, she earned an Oscar and a Golden Globe Award for Best Original Song for Flashdance What a Feeling, as well as a Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance. Now, in Fame, the movie Fame, in 1980, Irene Cara not only sang the title track, but also appeared in the starring role as Coco Hernandez. Okay, and let me flip. I want to flip over to the article so you can see this here as well. How's everybody doing? Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Share this broadcast on your social media platforms as well. Okay, so Oscar and Golden Globe Awards for Original Best Song, and also Grammy for Best Pop Vocal Performance. Now, in 1980, Irene Cara not only sang the title track, but also appeared in a starring role as Coco Hernandez, one of several students the movie follows throughout their years at a New York City performing arts high school. Now, Irene Cara knowledgeably incarnated a diva to be, chewing gum while pitching a fellow musician to start a band, and instructed him, quote, "There's a lot of money out there," end quote, gleefully tap dancing in a puddle on a subway platform, twirling her sunglasses while singing at a piano, walking on a crowded sidewalk while looking absorbed in a showbiz industry newspaper. Okay, now this they have the performance here that's been circulating on social media of her performing Fame. Also, that's on YouTube. That's in these in this article as well. Now, in addition to singing the movie's title number Fame, Irene Cara also sang another song on the soundtrack, the ballad "Out Here on My Own." Now, she performs "Out Here on My Own" in the on the David Letterman show in 1980. Okay, that is from October 14th, 1980. She performs "Out Here on My Own" on when she was on that show, and she performed another song as well. Both songs were nominated for an Oscar in 1981. Okay, Fame and "Out Here on My Own" were both nominated for an Oscar in 1981. The film was nominated for several awards, and Fame won for Best Original Song and Score. So, once again, Fame, the movie Fame was a phenomenon. You had the movie, you had the soundtrack, and then it spawned a TV show which ran for a number of seasons also. Okay, so this was a huge phenomenon. And back in the early 80s, okay, I remember, now I don't know if it was because of the movie Fame or because of, I'm not sure if it's because of the movie Fame or Jane Fonda or something, but right around that era, right around that time, you remember, if you're old enough to remember that, you remember a lot of women started walking around with leg warmers on, okay? Because we saw the leg warmers in the movie Fame, and then we would see the leg warmers even on men, okay? Like Gene Anthony Ray, who played Leroy in the movie Fame and on the TV show. I think he was in the movie. I think he was in the movie Fame also. We saw leg warmers. So then leg warmers became popular, and it was partly because of the movie Fame. I don't remember if it was the movie that started the first or Jane Fonda, one of them, but around that same time, they were wearing leg warmers, okay? And a lot of that had to do with the movie Fame. Okay, I want to go to this interview from October 14th, 1980. October 14th, 1980. David Letterman is interviewing Irene Cara. Okay. And also remember in Roots, the Next Generation, the movie Roots, the Next Generation that came out right about 1979 or so. Irene Cara played Alex Haley's mother. Okay. And Alex Haley's mother died at age 36. So Irene Cara played that role from age 14 to age 36. Let's go to this clip here from the David Letterman show.
And you know Frank. Frank is always talking about you. Yes. How do you know Frank?
Frank is the piano player for Out Here on My Own in the movie and in the soundtrack.
And you guys, you're on the album, Frank?
Yes, I am.
Oh, terrific. Yeah, Frank is always, I guess you know, going off to different places to accompany you. You would know that, wouldn't you? You've been performing since you were just a tiny person, a young kid, but you're not very old now, are you?
I'll be 22 in March.
Just a baby. And so when did you start performing?
Professionally at 8.
8 years old?
But I actually started at 6.
What can a 6-year-old do in the way of entertaining?
I was singing and dancing.
Really?
On stage, yeah, for benefits and beauty contests and concerts.
What was your first professional job?
It was a play on Broadway called Maggie Flynn with Jack Cassidy and Shirley Jones. Mm-hmm. And I got to meet David Cassidy. He was 18 at the time. And Sean was my age. He was 8.
Yeah. Did you feel like you missed anything as a kid, you know? Because you were, I guess you got to devote a lot of your time to show business.
I'm originally from the South Bronx, and I don't think I missed anything.
I'm not sure what that means, but...
as the people in the Midwest know.
People said about the movie Fame that there was just a bunch of newcomers, and I guess that's certainly not true for yourself.
Well, it was mostly newcomers, although Barry Miller, who played Ralph Garcia, was in Saturday Night Fever, had a lead role in that. They like to make it seem like, you know, they're breaking in the new kids, but most of the kids who are newcomers
had already been around and working. Has this movie changed your life any?
I've been doing this 16 years. It's pretty much been the same. My life has been my career and my friends and my work, but it's been a successful thing for me.
But you're a big deal now. I mean, whereas before you were always working and always successful.
Well, I think when I did Roots, the Next Generation, I played Alex Haley's mom. That was like another stepping stone for me, you know, to do a lead like that.
Yeah. You played Alex Haley's mom before
14
she had Alex.
No, I played the whole role. His mother had passed away at 36, so I played the role from 14 to 36.
No kidding.
Yeah.
How would you possibly?
I died on screen and everything. It was crazy.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Goodness. Listen, you're gonna sing another song. Is that right?
This one we didn't rehearse, so we're gonna wing it, folks.
Okay. I think we got a commercial before we.
Okay, so let me go past that. She's saying she performed another song, and I think they come back. Okay, that was the end of that. All right, so check out that short interview. Check out that interview. It's a short interview, but it's a really good one, and that's on YouTube. David Letterman's YouTube channel. Let's see. Irene Cara performs Out Here on My Own from Fame. Letterman. Okay. And they just posted this 2 days ago. It's gotten 82,000 views since then. Okay. So check that out from David Letterman as well. All right. I want to go back to this article here from the New York Times. Okay. So in 1980, a journalist with People magazine asked Irene Cara to recount the achievements of her young career. Quote, "You're obviously not from New York." She replied, "Everyone in New York knows what I've done. Now, some commentators shared her lofty sense of herself. Quote, move over Streisand, Barbara Streisand, Diana Ross, and Donna Summer. Make room for Irene Cara, Ebony magazine wrote in 1980. Quote, since co-starring in the Oscar-nominated movie Fame, her career has taken off like lightning. Since co-starring in the Oscar-nominated movie Fame, her career has taken off like lightning. Now, Irene Cara was born Irene Escalera on March 18th, 1959 in the Bronx, New York. She repeatedly disputed reports about her birth year, at times describing it as 1964. Her official account says she was born in 1962. Her official Twitter account, I should say, her official Twitter account says she was born in 1962. Her mother told the New York Times in 1970 that a young Irene Cara, already a busy performer by then, was 11 years old. Okay. All right. Now, here's another picture of Irene Cara as well. Now, she was also on the Electric Company, children's television workshop, the Electric Company, when she was 13 years old. And I don't remember her on Electric Company. I went back and looked at some pictures and I saw her on the Electric Company, but I used to watch the Electric Company when I was a kid. I do remember Morgan Freeman on the Electric Company because Morgan Freeman played Easy Reader, okay, on the Electric Company. He was this real cool guy who liked to read a lot. Easy Reader, That's My Name. That was Morgan Freeman's, if I remember correctly, that was his first acting role as a Easy Reader on the Electric Company. But Irene Cara was also on the Electric Company when she was 13 years old. Okay, let's go back to this article here from New York Times. Now, her mother was Louise Escalera, and her mother was a cashier, and her father, Gaspar Escalera, was a saxophonist who worked at a steel factory. She told Ebony magazine that she, her two brothers, and two sisters belonged to a musical family with a grandmother in Puerto Rico who could play 5 instruments. Now, information on Irene Cara survivors was not immediately available. Miss Cara, Irene Cara grew up in New York City and attended music and acting and dance classes as a child. She was said to be able to play the piano by ear by age 5 years old. She was said to be able to play the piano by ear by age 5 years old. Now, she attended the Professional Children's School in Manhattan, New York, a school for child performers and children studying the arts. At age 13, she was a regular on the Electric Company, which is a children's show broadcast mostly on public television in the 1970s, like Sesame Street. I used to watch Sesame Street and the Electric Company. Okay. She was also a member of the Electric Company's band called the Short Circus. The Short Circus. I don't remember the Short Circus, but I remember Easy Reader. And I remember on the Electric Company, they also had Spider-Man. They had they had an actual man who was Spider-Man, and he would shoot this web out. I remember that as well. Now, Irene Cara stayed busy taking roles in theater, television, and film, including the title role in Sparkle, a 1976 film about a family of female singers in the 1960s. Now, we know the movie Sparkle was remade in 2012, and part of that movie, at least part of it, was shot here in Detroit also. Okay. Now, this is a scene from Flashdance. Okay, the movie Flashdance, 1983. The character Alex Owens dancing in the film Flashdance. Irene Cara won the Oscar for Best Original Song as one of the writers of Flashdance, What a Feeling, the title song which she also sang. Now, Irene Cara continued to act and make music in the 1980s, but she found herself bogged down by a lawsuit that she filed in 1985 against a record executive named Al Coury, Coury, and a firm of his called Network Records. So I remember when this lawsuit happened, okay, and this really cost her dearly. And she alleged that she was cheated out of royalties for her song Flashdance, as well as Fame. Okay, she alleged that she was cheated out of royalties, and she talked about how she was basically blackballed from the industry, from the music industry, from acting, etc. Okay, now she sued Irene Cara sued for $10 million in 1985. She sued record executive Al Coury and Network Records for $10 million in 1985, accusing Al Coury of exploiting her trust and withholding royalties from Flashdance, from the Flashdance soundtrack, and her first two solo records, Anyone Can See, which came out in 1982, and What a Feeling, 1983. Okay, so yeah, that's what the lawsuit was about: withholding royalties from the Flashdance soundtrack and her first two solo records, Anyone Can See in 1982, and What a Feeling, 1983. Flashdance, What a Feeling, 1983. Now, in 1993, a California jury awarded Irene Cara $1.5 million. People magazine reported in 2001. Now, she sued for $10 million. She was awarded basically a little more than 10% of that. Okay, she was awarded $1.5 million, well, basically about 15% or so. She told People magazine that the dispute had unjustly branded her as being difficult to work with, and that she had been virtually blacklisted, okay, by the music industry. So, because I remember seeing her, okay, you have the movies, the songs, things like this, and then it seemed like she just disappeared. Okay, and I remember we didn't have social media back in 1985. Okay, but I remember hearing newspaper stories, things like this, about the lawsuit and about her being blackballed, etc. Okay, so she told People magazine that the dispute had unjustly branded her as being difficult to work with, and that she had been virtually blacklisted by the music industry. Now, in 2020, the year 2020, she shared on YouTube. She shared on YouTube two lighthearted dance songs from 1985 that she said had never been released because of the lawsuit. Okay. And I saw a quote from her where she talked about how much that lawsuit cost her, how it hurt her career, etc. I'm going to see if I can pull that up here. Let's see. Okay, so there's an article that just came out from Salon.com. She made it happen. Irene Cara was the voice of ambition, both its power and limits. Let me pull this up here just a second. She made it happen. Irene Cara was the voice of ambition, both its power and its limits. Okay, this is from November 28th, 2022, salon.com. And it talks about the, I want to go to this here, talks about the lawsuit here. So it says she did make it happen for herself, releasing 6 studio albums and appearing on dozens of other albums and soundtracks. But her own sitcom, NBC's 1981 Irene, was never picked up by the network. Okay, her own sitcom, 1981's NBC's 1981 Irene, was never picked up by the network. She acted on stage and on screen, but dealt with intense legal troubles after filing a lawsuit against her former record company in 1985, accusing them of withholding her royalties. Almost a decade later, she was finally awarded $1.5 million. People magazine reported that in that time, quote, she fled the spotlight, mired in an 8-year legal battle, and disenchanted by the experience, end quote. I don't blame her for being disenchanted by the experience. How much did it cost her to fight this 8-year legal battle? She sued for $10 million. She got about 15% of that. How much did it cost her in legal fees to fight that battle? Irene Cara says she lost her savings to the lawsuit, telling People magazine, the music world virtually blacklisted me. The music world virtually blacklisted me. All of a sudden, I was hearing stories about how difficult I was to work with, ridiculous rumors about drugs, and what a diva I was, end quote. Now, she performed, including voiceover roles in films, but a band she formed in the late 1990s, Hot Caramel, only released one album. Irene Cara remained a star who burned brightly and young. That kind of fatalism tinges her early hits like Fame when she swears, "I'm going to live forever." It's stirring because you know it's fleeting. It's stirring because you know it's fleeting. Power like that radiates hot and fast, as Irene Cara sings at the end of Fame at Coco's high school graduation, Coco Hernandez's high school graduation in the movie Fame. "I'll burn with the sun. In time, we will all be stars." Okay. And it ends, it says, "Remember her name." Okay, read this in its entirety. This commentary from Allison Stein, staff writer for Salon.com. She made it happen. Irene Cara was the voice of ambition, both its power and its limits. So that's from November 28th, 2022. All right, let's continue here. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms and invite your friends to tune in also. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like. If you like the information, you can support the African Network, the TheAHNShow, $, the AHN show, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. The sources keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. We have information on the homepage of our website. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And okay, so we also have the information dealing with the online classes that I teach as well. Okay, hold on. Let me refresh the screen just a second. Back. Stop just a minute here. Okay. All right. So on the homepage of our website, we have the information about the radio show. Also, we have a Black Friday weekend, Cyber Monday promotion. Get 30% off orders of $60 or more. That excludes online courses, but that's on our DVD lectures, digital downloads, all of that. We have the information dealing with Cash App and PayPal here as well. And the Black Friday lectures we have here on our website. Just click on shop, because we have them in digital download format. And this is information about the online courses that I teach. Our next class is Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. Wednesday, November 30th, 2022, 7 p.m. To 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, all right, and we do it thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. All right, let's continue here. I want to go back to the article from the New York Times. All right. So she told People magazine that the dispute had unjustly branded her as being difficult to work with and that she was virtually blacklisted by the music industry. By 2001, People magazine was describing Irene Cara as a singer whose time had come and gone, but whose stardom remained vivid to those who recalled it. Now, during a recent recording session in Orlando, Florida, People magazine reported an agent had spotted a familiar face. Is that Irene Cara? The agent whispered to a young client of his. She was huge. Okay, is that Irene Cara? The agent whispered to a young client of his. She was huge. So read this article from the New York Times. Irene Cara, Fame and Flashdance singer, dies at 63. This is from November 26, updated November 27th by Alex Traub and Amanda Hopuch, Holpuch. Now, there was also a good article that I read from People magazine, okay? And check this one out also from People. This is from November 26th. Irene Cara, Fame and Flashdance, What a Feeling singer dead at 63. A beautifully gifted soul. A beautifully gifted soul. Irene Cara died in Florida, in her Florida home this week. Her publicist Judith A. Muse confirmed on Twitter Saturday. So check out this article also. Okay, a lot of it is covered in the New York Times article. So I'm not going to go through it because I don't want to be redundant. But check this out as well. Let me see something here. Okay, checking for updates. All right. All right, a second. Let me close this out. Okay, I want to go to the next story here in just a second. Dealing with there's been an update in the case of Shanquella Robinson. Now, I don't like the people she was with. I don't like to refer to them as friends. In the media, they call them friends. I put friend in quotation marks. These were more like acquaintances, but so we have an update here. There's been an arrest warrant issued for the person who allegedly killed Shanquella Robinson. All right, and I'm going to go to a clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered in just a minute. Because about this back on November 18th, before the arrest warrant was issued. All right. So Huffington Post has this article. There's also one from A News that I read on November 23rd, Wednesday, November 23rd. Mexico issues arrest warrant for friend of 25-year-old woman found dead on vacation. And let me see something here. There's also one from CNN.com that we'll look at, because this one, okay, they cite the Associated Press here, and they cite CNN. I'm going to pull up the one from CNN also. Okay, article from CNN is arrest warrant issued for friend of North Carolina woman found dead while on vacation in Mexico. So if we look at this one from the Huffington Post, Mexican prosecutors are also seeking to get the friend extradited to Mexico from the U.S. So Mexican prosecutors have issued an arrest warrant for a female, let's call her an acquaintance, because they know we're friends like thieves who needs enemies, right? For a female acquaintance of 25-year-old Shanquella Robinson, who was found dead in Mexico in the month of October, right around October 28th, 29th. They also were working on getting this woman, this acquaintance, extradited to Mexico to face charges, the Associated Press reported. Now, Shanquella Robinson of Charlotte, North Carolina, traveled to San Jose del Cabo, Mexico, with 6 people, acquaintances. I find it hard to refer to these people as friends. On October 28th, okay, October 28th. And let me pull something up here. Okay. Just a second. Okay, so she traveled with them to Mexico on October 28th and died in the villa the group rented there a day later on October 29th. Now, Mexican prosecutors issued a statement Thursday saying that would have been Thursday, October 24th, saying that Shanquella Robinson's death came as a result of a direct attack. Shanquella Robinson's death came as a result of a direct attack not from an accident, and that one of her female quote unquote friends or acquaintances was connected to her death, according to CNN. They did not identify the alleged aggressor, but added she is an American citizen who is currently believed to be in the U.S. Now, Daniel De La Rosa, the Attorney General for Mexico's Baja California Sur, SUR, told local reporters they are seeking an extradition order for the woman connected to Shanquella Robinson's death. Okay, Attorney General Daniel De La Rosa said the death did not come as a result of a fight, but came about because of direct aggression from the assault friend who allegedly carried out the attack. All right, now on Roland Martin Unfiltered on November 18th, we discussed this very disturbing killing. We discussed this very disturbing killing. Okay, I want to go to this clip here.
Folks, FBI field office in Charlotte, North Carolina, they have opened an investigation into the death of a Black woman who traveled to Mexico with friends. Her friends came home alive. She did not. We discussed this story just the other day. Shanquella Robinson. She, again, went to Mexico with some friends, and her friends say she died of alcohol poisoning. When they called Shanquella's mother, they said it was alcohol poisoning. Yet in the autopsy done on her, there was no mention of alcohol poisoning. In fact, the autopsy showed that she actually had a broken neck and a cracked spine. The video that we showed you was a video that was taken that her mother believes was shot while they were there on vacation. You see Shanquella being viciously beaten by another woman as several people, including a couple of gentlemen, stand there and literally watch it and record it. Don't intervene. You hear one of them saying, she needs to fight back. She's not even fighting back. It is an ugly, ugly video here. No idea what has happened. According to one of the, this is the USA Today story on here, where in this particular story, actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull up another story because there was a particular story where it showed that the individuals who were involved, they actually, names have not been released, but they actually have their phones of what took place here. So we've been following these stories to understand what's been going on. But again, FBI officials are working with Mexican officials to figure out what happened to Shanquella Robinson in Cabo San Lucas on October 29th. And so it is, again, just a really, really sad story. He said the autopsy showed severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation. And this is the story right here out of the folks in North Carolina. First of all, she was a 2019 graduate of Winston-Salem State University. She also was a children's hair braider, operated a women's boutique business, and her family have also, they actually started a GoFundMe page to pay for her funeral expenses as well. And then let's see that GoFundMe has already, well, actually, the GoFundMe has already raised $119,368. Their goal is $125,000. It is very strange when you think of this case, Kelly, to hear, my goodness, traveling there with friends, they come home alive, she doesn't. and now they have essentially all gone silent, and they've told multiple stories about what took place.
I was thoroughly disgusted when I first heard this story because it just goes to show that your enemies can be closer than you think. And that is not to victim blame whatsoever, but it is clear that these were not her friends. And the fact that they had the audacity to leave the country without her. And from what I read, one of them actually dropped off her luggage at her parents' house.
Damn.
And gave the story about the alcohol poisoning. But the fact that they went there to grieve with them, knowing what actually happened, what it is, they know exactly what happened, and yet they still not only lied, but grieved with the family. Like, beyond sickening to me. It is absolutely disgusting and vile. I grieve with this woman's family. It is not anything that anybody should ever experience. The murder, what it appears to be, of a loved one whose life was cut so short by people who were so close to her. I don't have anything much else after that. It's just hard to imagine.
Michael, the Mexican officials are leading the investigation. The only reason there's an investigation because there was massive outrage in social media when that video dropped.
Yeah, the video has gone viral. There've been a number of articles written about this. We posted an article at the African History Network Facebook fan page about this as well. It's gotten a huge response, a huge outpouring of sympathy as well as disgust for what allegedly has happened to Shanquella. When we look at the article from ABC News, also ABC News obtained the autopsy report and death certificate. And in addition to what you stated, Roland, listing the cause of death as, quote, severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, it goes on to say with no mention of alcohol. As well. So Shanquella's mother was on Good Morning America this morning. She was interviewed, and she said that she talked to the different people who were on the trip with her, and they're all giving her a different explanation of what happened to Shanquella, what transpired as well. So this is, hopefully the truth comes out and we get justice. And at the same time, I don't have all the facts. If brothers are standing around looking at two black fighting or one black woman beating the hell out of another one, and you just stand there and do nothing, you're a punk ass Negro. Let me just leave it right there.
Matt, again, what part of the issue you have here, this takes place outside the states. And so now you're dealing with another foreign government. And so the FBI is sort of limited in terms of what they're able to do, even though she's an American citizen.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's what I was concerned about at first. But as I was awaiting, you coming to me, I thought there might be something there for a conspiracy if they're able to find that they intended to do this with travel to Mexico. The amount of evidence that people have in phones and digital devices these days is just insane. So if the FBI gets a search warrant for her phone, for their phones of the people that hurt her while she was there in Mexico, I mean, it may very well be that they determined that there was a conspiracy to harm her when they took her to Mexico. And hopefully that'll give the FBI jurisdiction, because the concern for me is the Mexican authorities, investigating this. Obviously, I don't have all the evidence, but we know there are sometimes a lot of irregularities and, frankly, corruption as it relates to Mexican government and investigations. So hopefully the FBI is able to find a legal means by which they can hold them accountable and go through the wheels of justice and make sure that there's justice for this young woman.
Indeed. All right, folks. New York Congressman Hakeem.
Okay, so that was from November 18th on Roland Martin Unfiltered. I was on with attorney Kelly Bethea and civil rights attorney Matt Manning. Now, in the name of that clip, we'll post the I'll post the clip here. The name of that the episode: A.G. Garland appoints special counsel, Jeffries bids for speaker, Georgia's runoff updates. So you can watch Roland Martin Unfiltered on Roland's YouTube channel, Roland S. Martin, or on Facebook, Roland S. Martin, or download the Black Star Media app. Download the Black Star Media app, and you can watch there as well. I'm going to post a link here to that full show. Okay. Now, let's go back to the article from Huffington Post. All right, I'm going to go back to this piece here, this article here from the Huffington Post. And then also we have an updated story that came out today from ABC News. So we're going to go to that as well. ABC News has this on their YouTube channel. But I want to go back to this story from the Huffington Post. Let's go back to that just a second. All right. Okay, so Attorney General De La Rosa of Attorney General for Mexico's Baja California, Daniel De La Rosa said the death did not come as a result of a fight, but came about because of direct aggression from the so-called friend who allegedly carried out the attack. Now, De La Rosa confirmed both the victim and the friend, both Shanquella Robinson and the so-called friend, are U.S. citizens. The group that Shanquella was traveling with all left Mexico following her death, according to the Associated Press. The new details contradict how Shanquella's friends originally characterized the death to the woman's family. Now, Salamandra Robinson, who is Shanquella's mother, told Queen City News, quote, "They said she wasn't feeling well. She had alcohol poisoning." So the so-called friends told Shanquella's mother that Shanquella was not feeling well and that she had alcohol poisoning. She said, quote, "They could not get a pulse. Each one of the people that was there with her was telling different stories." And when she was, when Salamandra Robinson, Shanquella's mother, was interviewed on Good Morning America back on November 8th, right around November 18th, this is what she said as well. Now, her friend's account is also challenged by the death certificate, which said Shanquella Robinson suffered severe spinal cord injury and neck trauma, severe spinal cord injury and neck trauma, and died within 15 minutes of the injury. Now, graphic cell phone video circulating on social media purportedly shows Shanquella Robinson being violently attacked by another member of the group. Now, Shanquella's father, Bernard Robinson, confirmed to CNN the person being attacked in the video is his daughter. The FBI field office in Charlotte, North Carolina, has also launched an investigation into Shanquella Robinson's death. Okay, so this is from November 25th, updated November 27th, Sunday, November 27th, from the Associated Press. Mexico issues arrest warrant for friend of 25-year-old woman found dead on vacation. Now, they talked about this today on ABC News as well. Okay, November 28th. I want to go to this clip here from ABC News. Mexican police issue arrest warrant in Shanquella Robinson case. Let's go to this clip.
Staying with us today, well, Mexican police have issued an arrest warrant in the death of that American tourist, Shanquella Robinson. Investigators say they believe the 25-year-old was killed by an acquaintance.
And now there are new questions about how justice will work across the border here. Matt Rivers has more from Mexico City.
Mexican authorities say they believe 25-year-old U.S. citizen Shanquella Robinson was killed by an acquaintance, another American woman, while on vacation in Los Cabos. Robinson was found dead at a luxury resort in late October, traveling with a group of friends whose actions immediately became suspicious. In one now viral video, too violent to show, Robinson is seen being severely beaten by another woman in her hotel room, while at least 2 people in the room watch or record the incident. In another, someone films Robinson taking a nap the day before she was killed. A police report from the day she died says guests at the resort called for medical help, claiming she had drunk a lot of alcohol. A doctor said she was, quote, stable but dehydrated, adding that the guests refused to bring her to a hospital. The police report said she went into cardiac arrest and was declared dead at 6 p.m. But an autopsy obtained by ABC News contradicted that report, saying she was declared dead 3 suffering from a severe spinal cord injury and a dislocated neck.
They attacked her and there was nothing she could do, and all she could say is no. She wasn't a fighter, no way. She has a good heart.
Mexican authorities now saying the prime suspect in the case back in the United States.
The fact that the person accused is an American citizen fundamentally changes all of the evaluation here.
Mexican prosecutors filing charges for femicide, which means they believe Robinson was killed at least in part because of her gender. Mexico is asking the U.S. to extradite the suspect to face charges in Mexico. The Department of Justice will have to evaluate any evidence.
If the U.S. authorities and potentially a U.S. court are not convinced that the Mexicans have a very strong case, then it's very unlikely that she would be extradited.
Now, U.S. authorities could also choose to prosecute this case themselves, and we know the FBI is already investigating. But I spoke to one former U.S. diplomat based here in Mexico who tells me that it's all about whether the Mexican government will cooperate here. Will they turn over their case files? Will they allow the FBI the access they need to properly investigate? Those remain open questions at this point. Kira?
All right, Matt Rivers, thanks so much.
And so for more on this intriguing case, let's bring in former NYPD Chief of Detectives and ABC News contributor Robert Boyce, as well as ABC News contributor, managing partner of the Cochran Law Firm, Shauna Lloyd. So, Shauna, let me begin with you on this question of extradition. If, in fact, the suspect is developed, the big question now is how would that process work from the U.S. to Mexico? How much we see the movies, people run across the border, but how effective is the extradition process in achieving justice for a suspect who's in Mexico?
Well, it's interesting because we do have a treaty that says it can be extradition when people are found to have committed a crime. Now, this one's interesting because we have an actual U.S. citizen who's accused of the crime who is still in the U.S. Mexico actually has to submit a request to have this individual arrested and then extradited. It is evaluated by the State Department and the Department of Justice Criminal Investigations International Affairs Office. Once they have found that the legal findings are sufficient to rise to the level of criminality, it's then forwarded to a district judge to issue that arrest warrant, and then a hearing is had. At that hearing, all the evidence is produced from what the Mexico authorities have gathered, and there's a determination if there's enough legally sufficient information in this investigation to determine charges that would support extradition.
So, Shauna, could we see Mexico engage in the prosecution regardless of whether the suspect is extradited or not?
Absolutely, because the U.S. can actually seek to bring charges against this suspect currently. Mexico has to support the investigation by providing all of the information, the evidence, and all of their case files that they currently have, because that's what the U.S. would be making any determination based on.
And Bob, this investigation across an international border is going to be complicated. How much cooperation would the United States get from authorities, police, investigators in Mexico? Does that work smoothly most of the time?
It does, but it depends on the issue. And the issue here is you have a big big problem in the timelines going forward. You have medical reports where they call at 2:15 for help, they leave, and then they come back, and then she's declared dead at 6 o'clock. That's not indicated on the coroner's report. There's some big problems they have to work through before anything of this goes forward. Also, we don't know what happened before that terrible video, that assault, or afterwards, or what time that was. There's so many questions here. It's going to take a while to hash out, but I think it will get done in the end. That's just what Shauna said before. If not, the FBI will prosecute those persons here in the U.S. if they can't get anything from Mexico that they need.
So then, Bob, did Mexican investigators drop the ball here in the initial stages of the investigation?
I can't say that without that information, but I tell you one thing, they don't seem to be coordinated with what the reports are coming out of there. The prosecutor, Mr. Anela, said basically they have a clarified case. I don't see how that's possible with these changes. Clearly, this thing changed 2 weeks after the event with the video going viral like that. It changed everything. And now here we have the Mexican authorities with an arrest warrant for a U.S. citizen. So things are really ratcheting up here. But I think it's going to be a long time before that family, the Robinson family, have the answers they want. But I think it's going to happen. It's just take a while.
Yeah, that's the point, Bob. It does look like now that there's so much attention on this, almost makes it more difficult. And I wonder about the Robinson family, Shauna. What recourse does the family, this young woman, cut down, killed in the prime of her life, what recourse do they have while these wheels of justice in two different countries grind away?
Unfortunately, they don't have a lot of influence on the system. Victims are typically, and their families are assigned a victim advocate to walk them through the process. But this process is strictly between our State Department, the FBI, and the Mexican government right now. They don't have as much influence to push. Now, they can always, want to encourage them to keep investigating, but they don't have any authority right now for the family.
Yeah, it's such a disturbing case in so many ways. And Shauna Lloyd, Robert Boyce, thanks very much, as always, for being with us.
Okay, so that was from excellent analysis there. That was from ABC News. That's on ABC News. News's YouTube channel. Mexican police issue arrest warrant in Shanquella Robinson case. That is from November 28th, 2022. So you can check out that clip also. We'll post the link here on the thread of the broadcast for that clip. All right. You can check out the article as well from CNN.com that I mentioned earlier in this segment. Name of that article is arrest warrant issued for friend of a North Carolina woman found dead while on vacation in Mexico. This is from CNN.com, Friday, November 25th, 2022. And you can check this out. I'm going to skip over information that's redundant. They talk about direct attack. Evidence shows the death resulted from a direct attack, not an accident, and involved a female friend of the victim, the prosecutor said. Mexican officials have not named the suspect, but confirmed she is a U.S. citizen who is believed to be in the United States. Okay, CNN has reached out to the U.S. State Department, FBI, and U.S. Justice Department for comment. The extradition process was underway for the suspect. The general for Mexico's Baja California Sur, Daniel De La Rosa, told local media on Wednesday, November 23rd. He said there's already an arrest warrant issued for the crime of femicide. There is already an arrest warrant issued for the crime of femicide to the detriment of the victim and against an alleged responsible for these acts, a friend of hers, Attorney General De La Rosa said Wednesday. Okay. The death certificate classified Shanquella Robinson's death as, quote, accidental or violent, end quote, noted the approximate time between injury and death was 15 minutes. Okay, so read this one here from CNN.com. Arrest warrant issued for friend of North Carolina woman found dead while on vacation. Now, I saw an article from NBC News. Black social media's voice is critical in pursuing justice, experts say. And in this article, Shanquella's mother credits African Americans on social media posting about this story, talking about this story. She credited that with getting nationwide attention for Shanquella's death and national media covering the story. This is from NBC News, the NBC News Black platform, but it's at NBCnews.com. Black social media's voice is critical in pursuing justice, experts say. The mother of Shanquella Robinson said Black social media users are to thank for amplifying her daughter's case. This is from November 22nd, Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022, written by Char Adams, CHAR, for NBCnews.com. Salamandra Robinson, mother of Shanquella, said she is sure she'll see justice for her 25-year-old daughter, who was found dead last month in Mexico, but she never imagined so many strangers would rally behind her and her family. She said it really feels good to see the help coming in. She told NBC News, she says she doesn't believe Shanquella's death would have gotten so much attention from authorities and media outlets if it were not for Black social media users highlighting the case, if it were not for Black social media users highlighting the case. She said, I never thought she would not get justice because we were going to try to go all the way. But I appreciate everything that everybody's done, however you played a part in it. Okay, so check out the rest of this article as well. Now, Sherry Williams, a professor of race, media, and communication at American University, says social media has been around and has been used as an amplification and social justice tool for almost a decade. She went on to say, Black folks know that mainstream news media has a history of completely ignoring our stories. Black folks know that mainstream news media has a history of completely ignoring our stories. So we've been using these tools to amplify our stories ourselves, and it works. We see this cycle of mainstream news media basically following the chatter on Black social media, end quote. Now, according to Queen City News, based in Charlotte, North Carolina, authorities initially said there was no evidence suggesting that Shanquella Robinson had been murdered. However, her family told news station WBTV of Charlotte, North Carolina, that an autopsy report states that Shanquella's neck had been broken and her spinal cord cracked. NBC News has not independently verified the autopsy report. Now the FBI in Charlotte, North Carolina is investigating, and Mexican authorities reportedly told the Daily Beast that the death is currently being investigated as a homicide. People have shown their support in ways beyond social media. A GoFundMe campaign for the family has raised more than $363,000. And on Saturday, hundreds of family, friends, and supporters gathered for Shanquella's funeral. Okay. that was the funeral was on the 19th. Okay, November 19th. Let's see. Salamandra Robinson said all of this may not have happened if it weren't for the scores of Black social media users calling for a larger investigation. Okay, check out the rest of this article here at NBCnews.com and NBC Black. Black social media's voice is critical in pursuing justice, experts say. All right. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a heart on this broadcast. And we have a new bundle pack of digital download, my lectures in digital download format. And it's at TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We're going to put it right on the homepage, but go to at TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, just click on shop, and I'll post the link here as well. And it is the right here. African History Awakens the African Mind from Mental Death. This is a 15 lecture downloadable bundle pack. It just became available on Sunday, November 27th, 2022. This brand new bundle pack just became available Sunday, November 27th, 2022. It's all the lectures are digital downloads. It's on sale $100. It's $175 value. You can use Google Pay to pay for it, PayPal, Venmo, or debit card, credit card. For a very limited time only. This is only going on for about another day or so. You get 30% off with promo code AHN. Let me see, what is that promo code here? Let me back up. We have the promo code here on the promo code AHN 30 off BEF. Okay, that's only going on for maybe one more day. That'll probably end on Tuesday. That promotion, then it'll still be discounted at $100, but it's still an excellent value at $100, because that's $175 value. This is in digital download format, so you can start watching now. Okay, you can start watching now. And let me pull up. I'm going to pull this up with the code. Okay, and here's the link. We have the code on the homepage of our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Let me post the information right here, right of the broadcast, and here's the link. You can also email us right through the website as well. Click on Contact the African History Network. You can email us also, or email us at AHNshow@TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AHNshow@TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And in that bundle pack, you get my lectures dealing with the some of my lectures dealing with the film Black Panther, and we have a listing of all the 15 presentations from me that are in that bundle pack as well. Okay, so check that out. It makes a great Kwanzaa gift, Christmas gift, or a gift just because, and it's a ton of information. And if we list here all the 15 lectures that are involved, included in this bundle pack, everything from history to economic empowerment to politics, all that's in this bundle pack. Okay. All right. So you can order that right now and start watching. It's all in digital download format, because people have been asking for more digital downloads in my presentation. So now you have them. So please support that. Please purchase that and support the African History Network. All right. I want to go to this next story here. Okay, so the movie Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I had seen and I did a presentation on November 19th here in Detroit. We have that on digital download as well. I'll give you that information in just a minute. That digital download is $10. The movie came in number 3. I'm sorry, movie came in number 1 for a third week in a row. The movie came in number 1 for a third week in a row and did about $45 million. There is a article from Variety.com on this as well. Black Panther Wakanda Forever staying on top of quiet Thanksgiving weekend box office, staying on top of quiet Thanksgiving weekend box office. Let's go to this story here. Okay, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, top of quiet Thanksgiving weekend box office. This article is from November 26, I think it said. November 26, 2022. Yes. Okay, so Marvel's Black Panther Wakanda Forever is having no trouble staying above the competition at Thanksgiving box office, even handily trouncing fellow Disney release Strange World. After bringing in $8.1 million on Thanksgiving Day, the superhero sequel exploded on Friday, adding $18.2 million more in ticket sales to its haul. Wakanda Forever is the only resounding box office success story this season, on target to push beyond a $350 million domestic gross through Sunday. Now, that was Sunday, November 27th. Now, overall, it's been a fairly dire weekend for theaters. The 5-day frame is projected to net $125.4 million in ticket sales across all releases, down 12% from last year's Thanksgiving weekend, which had the additional handicap of arriving during a period of heightened COVID-19 precautions. This year's crop of films are not connecting as strongly as offerings last year, like Encanto and House of Gucci. I ain't see either one of those movies. Case in point is Disney's new release, Strange World. It netted $5.2 million on Friday, pushing its domestic total to $11.8 million. That's a terrible kickoff for the animated film, opening in a prime holiday window with kids out of school and weighted by a $180 million production budget to recoup. So they're already saying the movie's a flop. They're gonna lose money on that movie. It cost $180 million to make the animated movie Strange World. Okay, so read the rest of this here about this weekend at the box office. Black Panther crushed the competition at $45 million. Also, if we take a quick look at boxofficemojo.com as well, we see it ended up at 45.6 million. Let's look at this here quickly. Okay, boxofficemojo.com. Okay, Black Panther did 45.6 million from November 25th through November 27th. And the closest movie was Strange World, that came in at $12.2 million this past weekend. So Black Panther blew away the competition. There was no competition. They have an article here at boxofficemojo.com. Wakanda Forever dominates with strong $64 million 5-day gross including Thanksgiving Day and otherwise weak Thanksgiving weekend. Strange World flops with 18.6 million 5-day cumulative. Okay, check that out at boxofficemojo.com. Now, I was on The Culture with Faraji Muhammad on the Black Star Media Network, Roland Martin's network, the Black Star Media Network, on November 14th. And we talked about the film Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And also, let me give you this information here as well before I forget. So we're going to put this on the homepage of our website as well, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I've been so busy and my work schedule has changed also. So everything is up in the air. But this is, we have this on digital download right now. It's not on DVD yet, but it's on digital download. So you can order it and watch it right now, watch it immediately. You can stream it as well as download it. Black Panther Wakanda Forever Analysis, African and Mesoamerican Culture, A Shared History by Michael Imhotep. I did this November 19th, 2022 here in Detroit. It's on sale, $10, okay? And we look at the African cultural influence in the film. I deal with a lot of history in the lecture as well. It's a little more than 2 hours. And we looked at a shared history as well of both Africa and Mesoamerica, Mexico, Central America being colonized by Europeans, but also Africans being the victims of colonization by the Spanish as well. We look at the Spanish under Christopher Columbus, for instance, going into Hispaniola and the Bahamas and Panama and Honduras, things like this. But we also deal with the African Moors fighting against the Spanish in Spain as well. Okay, so we deal with all that history in this lecture here that I did here in Detroit. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever Analysis, African and Mesoamerican Culture. Okay, that's on sale, $10 on digital download. It's a fantastic presentation, if I do say so myself. The people who attended, we had a packed house for that lecture, by the way. It was a lunch and learn. They had just seen the movie. They went to an 11 a.m. showing of the film, and then they came to the presentation where I was speaking. So I'm going to post this link here, post this information here on the thread of the broadcast, and it's on our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, under just click on shop, and we'll put that on the homepage of the website as well. Okay, and it's on digital download, so you can start watching right now. All right, I want to go to this segment here. November 14th, I was on Faraji Muhammad's show, The Culture, and we talked about Black Panther. Okay, Wakanda Forever. Let's go to this clip.
Hey, B, I'm all in. And you are the first person, just for full transparency, never really considered Afrofuturism until I actually literally met you and Riz, your husband. And folks, when I'm saying that for real, because you don't. Again, this idea of a black future. Y'all remember the Jetsons? There were no black folks in the Jetsons. There was no black folks in the Jetsons in the future. Mm-hmm. So when you're talking about a black future with a world full of technology, when you're talking about a future with the world full of power, when you're talking about a future with the world full of organized structure, you don't necessarily, and this is because of the conditioning that we as black folks in this country have undergone, we don't see black people being a part of that world. That's just right. And I know people say, well, it's been in the comic book for years, but you're right. But this is a whole different level. Once you bring something from the books into film,
Right.
It's felt on a different level. And brother Michael, I want to get your take on this because
yes,
the Rolling Stone just put out a piece earlier today. It says Black Panther: Wakanda Forever isn't just a sequel; it's an MCU geopolitical game changer. Look at this. That's our sister Letitia Wright playing Shuri during the funeral of T'Challa in the film.
Right. Right.
They said that Ryan Coogler's blockbuster draws from the comic superhero mythos and real-life revolutions to make a strong anti-colonialist argument. It also resets the cinematic universe's political balance in a big way. Now, here's the funny part about this, Brother Michael, and you rocking the shirt. But here's the funny part about this. I've actually seen Black scholars who say that this film is tragically.
Well, they ain't do their research. That's part of the problem. So preface this by saying, I did 3 months of research on the film Black Panther and the Black Panther comic book before I did my lectures on the film Black Panther, because I have lectures that I've done on the film. One of them was almost 3 hours, and it's available on my website, TheAHNShow.com. So I did deep research because after I saw the film in February 2018, even though at the time I've been studying history, 25 years or 26 years at the time, I knew I was not qualified to do lectures on the film and really talk about the film. So I did deep research. Everybody was not that responsible. Let me put it politely like that, to do that. So first of all, when we do Afrofuturism, we're dealing with science fiction and fantasy meeting cultures of the African diaspora. And we see this represented in the film. Now country, Central East Africa, and over time, the location changes, but it's somewhere around Rwanda, Uganda. Even though it's a fictitious country, Wakanda is a real word. We see Wakanda in the Omaha Indian Native American languages. It means possesses secret powers. It's also in the Osage language as well, and it's in reference to the Osage god, their deity. Okay, Wakanda. There are different spellings of it. One of the most popular is Wakanda, which you see in the film. In Wisconsin, there is a Wakanda water park in Wisconsin. It's spelled the same way as the movie. It's been there for decades. There are schools across the country, like in Nebraska, named Wakanda. Now, it's also a Kikongo word. Kikongo is a Bantu language, and in Kikongo, it's in reference to family. One of the things that's so important about the film is that when we look at Wakanda in the movie, the world thinks that Wakanda is a third world country, but Wakanda uses technology to hide the fact of how technologically advanced that they are, to keep colonizers from coming in and plundering them and raping the country. Okay, so one of the reasons why the film, the first one, did so well, and it was #1 for 5 weeks here in the U.S. and did $1.4 billion worldwide, is because it wasn't another slave movie. #1. And even though slavery is part of our history, ain't the only part of our history. #2, we got to see African people controlling a nation, controlling natural resources. We got to see 11 different African cultures infused into the film Black Panther. So Ruth Carter, who's the costume designer, and she was also the costume designer on the film Malcolm X. She studied African cultures for 6 months and infused 11 different African cultures into the film. So we see the Mercy from Ethiopia in there. We see the Zulu from South Africa. Queen Ramonda, played by Angela Bassett, the hat that she wears, the flat hat, that's from the Zulu. That's a hat that Zulu women wear, and it was largely Zulu royalty or wealthy women that will wear it. The rings that we see the Dora Milaje wear around their necks, okay, that's from an African culture as well. And the Dora Milaje, who are the Dora Milaje means it means I forget, Dora Milaje, the adored ones. Dora Milaje means the adored ones, the African female warriors. They're based upon the Ogoji or the Ohozi in Dahomey. That's where they come from. Their costumes are inspired by the Maasai of Kenya. So when you look at the Maasai in Kenya, you'll see how their costumes reflect that. So it's a powerful movie, and you can use if you understand history, you can use the film Black Panther to teach African history to our people, teach it to our children. Because I did a lecture I did a presentation to 65th through 12th graders and their teachers, and broke down the film and the African cultural influences in the film and how it relates to history. And I was explaining to the teachers how they can use the enthusiasm of the film Black Panther to teach African history and African American history to their children. Okay. And I saw the new film on Saturday. And one of the big things, one of the most important things about this also is that different African-American organizations have been buying out theaters and using this as fundraisers also. So in 2018, a lot of Simple Simon ass people on social media said, oh, Disney making all this movie, black people ain't making no money. No, black people made money off of it then, and they're making money off of it now. You just didn't make any money. You didn't position yourself properly. Okay, success is where preparation meets opportunity. I taught entrepreneurship for 7 years. My degree is in business administration. It's not in history. I'm a historian, but my degree is in business. Okay, success is where preparation meets opportunity. You knew the movie was coming out for like 4 or 6 years, so you didn't position yourself properly. The new movie is phenomenal, and it brings into it another aspect when we do a Mesoamerican culture, Latino culture. When we deal with Tanakh Hereta, who plays Prince Namor. And in the comic books, Namor was whiter than white. But here you get another indigenous, you get an indigenous culture as well. And I'm not going to give away no spoilers, but there's a scene where he talks about how, in this movie, we find out that vibranium exists in his underworld country as well. Okay. And he talks about how now the world has found out about this, and now we have to protect ourselves from colonizers coming to take the natural resource, coming to take the vibranium from his world as well. Okay. So it brings into this dynamic of colonizers colonizing and attacking indigenous people, Africans, Mesoamerica, the Aztecs, things like this. And there's an Aztec that we see in the film also. So it's a powerful movie. It's not perfect. None of these movies are. So the naysayers, if you don't like it, go make your own damn movie. But you ain't.
First and foremost, brother, you know how I feel. You know how I feel about when you break it down, brother. I appreciate you for breaking the history and giving us some insight on that, because I think that's important. And you know, when we talked about before the movie was released last week, we talked about it, and I shared with people, Brother Michael and B, look, this is a black man. Now I don't know if we can talk about this enough, that Ryan Coogler took this film, this story.
Mm-hmm.
And he brought it to the screen.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yep. And he rewrote it. He rewrote the story. Now he rewrote
after Chadwick Boseman died, because he had to rewrite the script after Chadwick Boseman died.
He had to rewrite that script.
Right.
He rewrite that.
Joe Robert Cole, his writing partner. Yeah.
Right. They had to rewrite the script. And you're talking about all of these different elements that they had to infuse to create the story of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I'm telling y'all, folks, this is absolutely is a phenomenal film on so many different levels. And so, you know, when you see it, it's like, you know, I get to a place now, Brother Michael and B, that sometimes some of our people want to be so hard, so high, and so hard.
Mm-hmm.
When gives our people a sense of value, man, just let it go. I know. Look, man, it's Marvel. It's not the Smithsonian Institute putting out the film.
What happens is good historians know how to take pop culture and take it to the next level and infuse the history into it and use it as a tool to reach the masses. Okay. The people whining and complaining, a lot of them are unhappy with themselves. And they don't want other people, they don't want black people to be happy unless they are the reason for the happiness and they can monetize the happiness.
Come
if they
on,
can
brother.
sell it to you, they're all right. So they're saying more about themselves than they're saying about Marvel or Disney. But this is a powerful movie, and we need to take that and deal with the history surrounding all this, and use this to teach our people and teach our children also.
Absolutely, and you know, back to your point that you was making about colonialism, and what we're seeing. Like this movie right here, I think it opens the door for us to have some very, very important conversations about our history, about colonialism, about the unity of Black and brown communities. It's like this film speaks on all of those things, about grief, about legacy. I mean, I don't want to give no spoilers away, but this film speaks to so many different pieces. And I think that if there's an opportunity to teach our people, to inspire our people, and to empower our people, I think we should take it big. I think we should just take it, whether it comes from a movie, whether it comes from a comic book, or whether it comes from a news show, whatever the case may be, take it.
Yeah, you know, like when The Matrix came out, all right, it created a splinter culture, all right, that understood deeper conspiracy, understood that we're all plugged in to a source that is not organic, and it's on the individual to unplug, all right? That's the greater messaging behind The Matrix, right? And so anyone who was a part of that Matrix generation changed and grew as a result of this fictional piece. Okay. So to me, Black Panther and The Matrix tell the same story. Okay, tell the same story. They all grossed the same amount of money. And so because at the end of the day, people are striving to connect to a source that is not white men. Woo! Even white people, okay, understand that there's a greater source that the supremest white man has yet to reveal. And so because of that, you know, we have to continue the exploration, you know? And so a lot of how this film was brought to us, right, had less to do with historical accuracy and more to do with cellular memory. Cellular memory you will not find in a book. You will remember it in your DNA. You'll feel it like deja vu. And Black people have an abundance of cellular memory. Our gut flora is amazing. We know what's happening. Even if there's no proof, we know for a fact that Trump is up to some shit. We know. We know, we already know certain elements, even if we can't put our finger on the exact data. That's the part that has to be strengthened in order to exist in the Afrofuture without being a drone. Because you're not gonna die, all right? You might not lead with your thoughts though, and that's scary. The idea that if you exist, you'll be droned. No. So in order to not be droned, you have to some extent, step outside of your historical context that was written most likely by a man who was most likely sucking the patriarchy's dick and not the truth. You understand? And so until we get to that, to where we can understand what is written inside of our DNA, to actually be able to speak on that, to stand on that, and to build new nations off of that supreme wisdom, that right there is what Wakanda is. Wakanda is not a Bible verse that explains the metrics of Noah's Ark. You understand? Like, that's not what Wakanda is. Wakanda is a cellular memory of Ryan Coogler. Wakanda is a cellular memory of where we came from before our worst nightmare happened and we're living in. You know,
Yep.
the post-traumatic effects of slavery and disenfranchisement from our language and our culture. You know, we have to figure out a way in order to make ourselves whole again, you know, and I don't think that reparation is ever going to come from an external source. That reparation has to come from an internal source of the cellular people, you know?
And I think, to your point, B, when you're talking about, you know, the cellular level of understanding, you're talking about having at least a reference point of history, understanding that all of our history is not always written in a book. All of our history is not always it can be found literally on the walls of some of the greatest pieces of stone. You know what I'm saying? From the pyramids and other places. So, you know, we have our history. We have made our mark literally all over this globe as Black people.
Right.
To show our level of supremacy, to show our level of our ability to our level of power. And that's one of the big things that you know, that we should keep in mind. I want to take just a couple of quick comments from our online culture crew, because a lot of folks are checking in.
Okay, we're going to pause it right there. You can watch that in its entirety, because that was a 2-hour show. We did that November 14th, 2022. The Culture, Faraji Muhammad show on the Black Star Media Network, Roland Martin's network. We talked about Wakanda Forever, and I don't remember what else we talked about. That. Let me see. I'll post a link right here. We talked about no problems on election day. Dems avert disaster. Dave Chappelle. We were supposed to talk about Dave Chappelle. I don't think we got to Dave Chappelle, but we'll post a link here on the thread of the broadcast, so you can check that out in its entirety. And we'll put that on my website, also the African History Network, under we'll put that under I have links on my bio, and I have media links of interviews that I've done in the media. We're going to put that also on my bio portion of our website as well. Let's post this link here. Okay. Now, okay, how's everybody doing? Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Support the African History Network, $ the TheAHNShow. Who needs to order the Black Panther lecture that I did November 19th, 2022 here in Detroit? We have it in digital download format, Black Panther Wakanda Forever analysis, African and Mesoamerican culture, a shared history. It's on sale $10 right now. You can start watching it right away. It's a digital download. Here is an excerpt. It's an unedited excerpt of the actual presentation. Let's go to this. Hold on. I posted one on YouTube. Now, this is an excerpt before I edited. So the one that you're going to get in the lecture is much better, and it has slides in it, things like this. So this is a unedited, this is a raw excerpt. Okay, let's go to this clip here.
We set up the black in this country was not another slave movement. Okay, now even though slavery is an important part of our history, unfortunately, most people don't understand the history of slavery in this country. A lot of African Americans don't think this is the wrong way, but a lot of us don't understand the history of slavery either. Okay, so and this is some of the things I deal with in my classes, because a lot of people hear about 1619, okay, in Virginia. 1619 is important. August 20th, 1619, when those 29 Africans came to Virginia, White Lion pirate ship, right? But codified slave laws didn't exist in any of the 13 colonies in 1619. The first colony that had codified slave laws was Massachusetts in 1641. They come to Connecticut about 1650, come to Virginia about 1660, 1661. And then after, anybody heard of Bacon's Rebellion, 1676 in the colony of Virginia? Because it's going to be after Bacon's Rebellion, which was a rebellion of African slaves, white indentured servants, poor white people, and free African people. They united because they were all being exploited on the tobacco plantations in Virginia. They united against the ruling elite because they realized they had a common enemy. Okay, it's going to be after Bacon's Rebellion, starting around 1681, that they introduced the term white into the 13 British colonies, starting with Virginia. And they introduced the term white to break up the alliance between poor whites, enslaved Africans, free African people, and indentured servants, so they can rule. Okay, so a lot of this we really don't understand. This is why you have to understand the chronology of history. Okay, anybody ever studied the Virginia Slave Codes of 1705? Okay, when you read section 4 of the Virginia Slave Codes of 1705, they make a distinction between the treatment of Negroes and Moors. Go to encyclopediavirginia.org and read the Virginia Codes of 1705. Okay, see, we don't understand this history. All right, now, the character of Black Panther was introduced in July 1966 in issue 52 of the Fantastic Four comic book. The character of Black Panther was created by Stan, okay? And in this comic book, and we didn't have a projector screen or anything. Usually I do. In the presentation I did in 2018 that we have on DVD, I'm doing a visual presentation, okay? But here we didn't have a projector screen, so just bear with me. In issue 52 of the Fantastic Four, July 1966, he introduces the Black Panther, T'Challa. And he beats up the Fantastic Four in their own comic book, okay? And this was the first time we saw like a major African superhero, all right? And Jack Kirby said he realized that he didn't have any black superheroes, so they created one. All right, now, at the end of that issue, it talks about how T'Challa was the richest man in the world at the time, okay, in the Marvel comic universe. He was the richest man in the world who became emperor of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD, okay? Now, there's an article from History.com. History.com is the official website of the History Channel, all right? And in this, I'll give you the name of the article in just a minute, but this is what it says in this article. It says, in the vast fictional universe of Marvel Comics, T'Challa, better known as Black Panther, is not only king of Wakanda, he's also the richest superhero of them all. And although today's fight for the title of wealthiest person alive, I don't think Elon on this much longer. This fool is blowing up Twitter. Okay, this is showing, don't take this the wrong way. This is showing you white privilege don't equal intelligence. business. Okay? Just because you're a billionaire don't mean you know how to run a business. Okay? We're saying just because you're a billionaire don't mean you should be president either. Okay? All right. So, because I'm a political commentator as well, I'm on Roland Martin Unfiltered every Friday as a panelist. I'm a political commentator also. I study politics as well. Okay, so he's also the richest superhero of them all, and although today's fight for the title of wealthiest person alive involves a tug of war between billionaire CEOs, the wealthiest person in history, Mansa Musa, has more in common with Marvel's first black superhero. So this article from History.com, the History Channel, A&E, these are Europeans telling you that they're showing the relationship between T'Challa in the fictitious Black Panther comic book and Mansa Musa, okay? Now, Mansa Musa became ruler of the Mali Empire in 1312 AD, Common Era, taking the throne after his predecessor, Abubakar II, for whom he had served as deputy, went missing on a voyage he took by sea to find the edge of the Atlantic Ocean. Mansa Musa's rule came at a time when European nations were struggling due to raging civil wars and a lack of resources. They were dealing with famine, they were dealing with the Black Death, the bubonic plague that hit in 1347 to 1400 in spurts. Europe loses between 1/4 to 1/3 of their population during that period of time, 1347 to 1400. They lose between 25 million and 75 million people. Okay, so when the Black Death, when the bubonic plague came through a village, it would wipe out a whole village in 7 days. And at History.com, they have some like good in-depth information on it because it would cause your, like, in terms like your lungs, it would cause them to dissolve. So you will cough up your lungs. Okay, so this devastated Europe. Mansa Musa's rule came at a time when European nations were struggling, civil wars, and a lack of resources. During that period, the Mali Empire flourished thanks to ample natural resources like gold and salt. So the name of this article, this came out March, this was the month after the Black Panther movie first came out, the original one. It's called "This 14th Century African Emperor Remains the Richest Person in History." This 14th century African emperor remains the richest person in history. This is at history.com, which is the official website of the channel. This is Europeans saying that West Africa was flourishing when Europe was in disarray, because Europe is still they're trying to come out of the dark ages. Okay, the Vandals and the Visigoths crushed the western portion of the Roman Empire in 476 AD, and it's going to be teaching after the African War taking in 711 AD when Tariq into the Iberian Peninsula. They go from Morocco, and if you look at a map, Spain and Portugal right around Morocco. Okay, so you're going to have tens of thousands of Moors going in over decades, going into Spain and Portugal, and then they go into Sicily, they go into Italy, they go into England, Germany, and you see this whole African presence all throughout Europe. Okay, now when they go in, you're down in China. Okay, y'all know this. The Black Madonna in China comes from Set Heru and Heru. Okay, this is
all right. Pause it right there. That's just an excerpt of the I did November 19th here in Detroit at the Hannon Center, 4750 Woodward Avenue, right near Wayne State University. So that's available at our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. That's on sale $10. It's in digital download format. It's a little more than 2 hours, the full presentation. Okay, just click on shop at our website, and all of my DVD lectures are there. And we have a lot of them in digital download format. And then also remember that we have the 15 lecture bundle pack in digital download format. We have it in DVD format, but we have it in digital download format in our shop. This this bundle just became available Sundays, November 27th. So it's a brand new bundle. The African History Awakens the African Mind from Mental Death. This is a 15 lecture download bundle pack. So all the presentations in this bundle are downloadable. Okay. So check that out. That's on sale, $100, and then for probably going on for till probably Tuesday, you still get a 30% discount as well with the promo code. We have the promo code right on the homepage of our website. All right. And you can support the African History Network as well. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. If you like this type of information, you learn a lot from the show. Please support us as well. Okay. Lastly, you can advertise with the African History Network. Also, email us at AHNshow@TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAHNshow@TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have a brand new promotion going on till Wednesday, November 30th. Buy 1 month, get 2 months free. Email us at AHNshow@TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All right, the class I teach on Wednesdays, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understand the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Our next class is Wednesday, November 30th. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the class, I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. It's a time around we may do the sessions live. All the are recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. Some information that we deal with in the class. We deal with the African presence in the Americas going back tens of thousands of years. Okay. With information coming from Dr. David Imhotep and the first Americans were Africans, documented evidence. And his book came out in 2011. We deal with a lot of different archaeological discoveries that have taken place in the past 15 years that are causing the scientists and archaeologists to rethink everything. Page 14 of Dr. David Imhotep's book deals with the discovery found in Allendale County, South Carolina in 2004. And Dr. Albert Goodyear, who's an archaeologist at the University of South Carolina, he and his team discovered 13 different types of evidence that thoroughly documents an African presence in the Americas going back at least 51,700 years ago. They found artifacts, architecture, campsites, carvings, Egyptian writings, footprints in lava, genetic M174D haploid groups dealing with DNA and genetics, linguistics, paintings, skulls, skeletons, structures, and tools. They found 13 different types of evidence thoroughly documenting an African presence going back at least 51,700 years ago. And these Africans were the Khoisan. They have the oldest DNA on the planet. This article here from ScienceDaily.com from November 18th, 2004. New evidence puts man in North America 50,000 years ago. Talks about Dr. Albert Goodyear's discovery. In October 2012, genetic study published in Science magazine talks about the Khoisan, who come from Southern Africa, the short-statured Africans. They go all around the world. The Khoisan in Southern Africa are the oldest ethnic group of modern humans, with their ancestral line originating about 100,000 years ago. The Khoisan, formerly called by the derogatory term Bushmen, are genetically unique, and no other currently known population had separated so early from our common modern human ancestor, according to the report. Now, here are two Khoisan women. Here's a picture of them. The Khoisan live in mainly southern Africa in territories spanning Botswana, Namibia, Angola, Zimbabwe, and South Africa. They are largely divided into two groups, hunters and gatherers, known as the Sans people, and keepers of livestock, known as the Khoi people. The Khoisan languages include the distinctive click sounds that are not found in the languages of their neighbors. 5 ethnic groups, you read the article, 5 ethnic groups that prove the first humans were Black, from AtlantaBlackStar.com. Okay, so we go through and we look at a lot of this history. We look at a lot of these archaeological discoveries, like this one here from 2010. They're found on the Greek island of Crete. They found stone tools on the course over the course of 2 years. Stone tools that date back 130,000 years ago, which is considered strong evidence for the earliest known seafaring in the Mediterranean and calls for rethinking the maritime capabilities of pre-human cultures. We look at the lost city of Egypt, known as Tanis Heraklion, which was built in about 8th century BC and swallowed into the sea about 1,200 years ago. And we look at some of the things that they found at the bottom of the sea that came from this ancient Egyptian city, this lost city of Egypt, okay, Tanis Heraklion. We look at archaeological discoveries like this one that came out in 2017, found in Morocco, where they found remains of Homo sapiens that date back between 300,000 and 350,000 years ago, which is over 100,000 years earlier than the previous early known remains that dated back 195,000 years ago, found in Ethiopia. Okay. So, and then we look at different African civilizations like the Olmecs. We look at the Carthage. We look at Axum, Namibia, Namibia. We go through and look at these different civilizations also, Carthage and Nubia, different things like this. We go through, look throughout history. We also deal with the film Black Panther, because African culture and history is all throughout the film Black Panther. The Panther deity Bast that watches over the people of Wakanda. The Panther deity Bast comes from Bastet, who was a neter or goddess in ancient Egypt, worshipped in the form of a lioness. It had a woman's body with the head of a lioness on it, and later it had the head of a cat on a woman's body. And Bastet was a neter of warfare in Lower Kemet. She was worshipped as early as Second Dynasty, So we're talking about around 2890 BCE, before the Common Era. So we deal with different Neteru, the forces of nature. In Ancient Kemet, we talk about Asar, Aset, and Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. This is where the Black Madonna and Child comes from, and which becomes the White Mary and Jesus. All this is very ancient. These ancient stories told over and over again, adapted to various people's cultures. Heru was the first Ka-rest, which the Greeks call Christos, which becomes Christ. Ka-rest meaning Ka meaning spirit, rest meaning to rise in the ancient Medu Neter language. And it's going to be Heru who resurrects his father Asar, who is killed by his brother Set. Okay. We look at what's known the U.S., which is known as Egypt of the West, and the African influence on Egypt of the West. We look at things like the Washington Monument, which is an ancient African symbol called a Tekken. which comes out of Freemasonry, but it originally comes from the story of Asar Aset Heru, and it represents resurrection, transformation and resurrection. It's a symbol of Asar. This article here from face-to-faceafrica.com, Cleopatra's Needle, how 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks ended up in New York City, London, and Paris. It deals with the theft of African history and culture that taken all around the world, including taken to the United States. Ancient Egyptians called obelisks tekenu, and they were also used to tell the time in the past. Their pinnacles were basically covered in gold to reflect the sunlight. Historians say that obelisk represented immortality and eternity, and their long structure helped connect the heavens and the earth. Currently, Cleopatra's Needle is the name given to 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks, or tekenu, one in New York City, one in London, England, and one in Paris, France. However, they do not all come from one Egyptian site. The obelisks in New York and London are carved out of red granite, and the quarries of Aswan, a major source of stone for Egyptian antiquities. The 2 obelisks, or tekenu, were commissioned by Nesubiti, or Pharaoh Thutmose III, for the Temple of the Sun in Heliopolis, near modern-day Cairo, with each weighing about 224 tons and standing 68 feet tall. Okay, so read the article, Cleopatra's Needle, how 3 ancient Egyptian obelisks ended up in New York City, London, and Paris, from face-to-faceafrica.com. Here's a famous statue of Asar Aset Heru, who the Greeks called Osiris, Isis, and Horus. Now, there were approximately 1,200 tekenu built in ancient times, in ancient Kemet, but only about a dozen or less than a dozen are in Egypt today. Many of the tekenu have been removed from Egypt and now stand in Istanbul, Turkey. They are in Paris, France, London, England, New York, New York. They're in Germany, and Vatican City, Rome, Italy, Vatican City, and elsewhere throughout the world. The tekenu are now called obelisks by their new owners, and few know their origin or that they symbolize the resurrection of the African king Asar. Read page 17 of Egypt on the Potomac by Tony Browder. And this is one of the books that we use in the class. Now, you don't have to buy any of these books to be able to follow along in the class, but this is one of the books that we use in the class. I'm going to post the information here so you can register for this course. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch the class anytime. So a year from now, 2 years from now, you can go back and watch the course in its entirety. You'll still have access to it. You can use this information with your children. I would say the information is PG-13. And we have a bundle pack right on the a bundle pack of courses right on the homepage of our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. So you get both classes that I teach. It's on sale for a limited time only for only $100. That's over $300 value. The second class I teach on Tuesdays, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, now the word Mason is derived from the Latin words mass and sun. The word Mason is derived from the Latin words mass and sun. And Mason means child of light and expresses the desire to pursue light, which is a metaphor for the sun, which symbolizes knowledge. The term child of light, or sons and daughters of light, was first used to identify students who had completed 42 years of study in the temples of ancient Kemet. Many Masonic temples were modeled after the temples in ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, places where light or knowledge was imparted in a series of steps or degrees. This is from page 18 and 32 of Egypt on the Potomac. So the concept of going to a liberal arts college, the whole concept of liberal arts colleges comes from ancient Kemet and the Grand Lodges, the Per Ankh, the temples where this knowledge was taught. But they talk in George G.M. James in Stolen Legacy talks about the seven liberal arts, the logic and arithmetic and things like this. The trivium and the quadrivium is what he refers to it as. But the concept of going to a institution of higher learning and getting your credentials in a series of steps or degrees comes out of ancient Africa, comes out of ancient Kemet. Okay, so we go through and look at a lot of this history here. We look at evidence of Africans in the Americas as well, even before Cristobal Colon or Christopher Columbus. And we deal with the film Black Panther as well. And then we look at what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. We look at the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, are going from Morocco into the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal. They're going to settle in the southern portion of what we call Spain. They call it Al-Andalus, which basically means like to walk in the spiritual light or walk in the spiritual path. We look at who the Moors were. They're descendants of the Garamantes. And we know the Phoenicians were descendants of the Garamantes as well. The word Moor is derived from the Greek word moros, which literally means black or a very dark color. The Romans adopted this word and called them Mari, M-A-U-R-I. The Mari were a Northwest African people who were very dark-skinned. The Romans will refer to the region of Northwest Africa as Mauritania, M-A-U-R-I, Mauritania. Mauritania is Latin and means the land of the black-skinned people. You'll also see the term Marish, M-A-U-R-I-S-H, Marish. Now, Romans later adopt the word as a reference for the black-skinned inhabitants they encountered in Africa. Read pages 527 and 187 of Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. That is another book that we use in the class. Where's my copy of it? Right here. Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. Fantastic book, especially the essay by Dr. Jose Pimenta Bay and as well as the essay by Runoko Rashidi also in this book as well. So that's another source that we use for the class. You don't have to buy any of these books to follow along. I have slides that represent the content of the book, and we also have scanned pages, some scanned pages in the book as well. So you can buy the books if you want them for your library, but you don't have to feel obligated to purchase the book to participate in the class. So we go through, we look at some of the history of the Moors and Moors losing control of the last stronghold of Granada, January 2nd, 1492. As well, we look at why are there African Moors heads on the national flags of Corsica and Sardinia. Corsica is a Italian island, a French island in the Mediterranean, I should say. And Sardinia is an Italian island in the Mediterranean. They have African Moors heads on their national flags. We talk about Christopher Columbus because we go through and look at this history chronologically. Columbus is essential to the spread of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. And Columbus never comes to the land that we call the United States of America as well. The closest he comes here, which is Cuba, which is 90 miles away. And we go through, we look at a timeline of history. Also, we see the Portuguese right around 1441, they're going to get involved in the transatlantic slave trade, starting with Anton Gonzalez going into Mauritania in 1441. We look at things like the doctrine of discovery, Dum Diversas, 1452, the Papal Bull of 1455, the Treaty of Tordesillas, 1494, also. When we look at the doctrine of discovery in 1452, Pope Nicholas V issued a papal bull entitled Dum Diversas, which authorized King Alfonso V of Portugal to conquer the Saracens or Muslims and pagans in a disputed territory in Africa and consign them to perpetual servitude. It has been argued that this and the subsequent papal bull Romanus Pontifex, issued by Pope Nicholas V in 1455 gave the Portuguese the rights to acquire slaves along the African coast by force or trade. The edicts are thus seen as having facilitated the Portuguese slave trade from West Africa and as having legitimatized the European colonization of the African continent. Now, this comes from Britannica.com under the article on Nicholas V. Okay, so we go through and look at these different things and throughout history, what is a papal bull, so we could better understand the transatlantic slave trade and what leads to the transatlantic slave trade. So we look at slavery coming to the New World, and Bartholomew, Right Reverend Bishop Bartholomew de las Casas, who travels on voyages with Christopher Columbus and documents the atrocities Columbus inflicts on the indigenous people. And we're going to see right around 1501, 1502, the Spanish start taking Africans into these colonies that they have set up, okay, in the Caribbean. It's going to be Bartholomew de las Casas who the concept of enslaving African people largely is going to come from Bartholomew de las Casas. Basically, he says that they need to stop enslaving the Native Americans, and they suffered enough and they should try to save their souls. And he recommends the importation of African slaves. The importation of African slaves to work in the Americas was the inspiration of the Spanish Bishop Bartholomew de las Casas, whose support of African slavery was motivated by humanitarian concerns. Bartholomew de las Casas argued that the enslavement of Africans and even some whites, proving that in the early period, slavery did not operate according to exclusive racial demarcations, would save, he argued that enslaving Africans and to a lesser extent some Europeans would save the indigenous Amerindian populations, which were not only dying out by engaging in large-scale resistance, as they opposed their excessively harsh conditions. Okay, as a result, King Charles V of Spain agreed to the Asiento de Negros. He issues the Asiento de Negros in August of 1518. This was a slave trading license given to other countries or individuals to give them the license to provide African slaves to Spanish colonies. Okay, now this later represented the most coveted prize in European wars, as it gave to those who possessed it a monopoly in slave trafficking. Okay, and so we take you through our history to go through and see what leads to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. If you never heard the Asiento de Negros, you definitely need to take this class, because there's a whole lot of other things that you are not familiar with as well when it deals with the transatlantic slave trade. So this is just a very brief overview of this 10-week online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, all of that. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. You can use it with children as well. I would say content is PG. It's not overly graphic, cursing and crazy things. All right. We have information at our website, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com, TheAfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And our next class is on Wednesday, November 30th, 2022. We normally do the class at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the class is $100, on sale $60. Okay, and we have a bundle pack where you get both classes for $100, limited time only. Get both classes for $100. And I'm going to go here to the website. Let me pull this up here. And also we have a class on Tuesday, November 29th. Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Let's see here. Scroll down. Okay, let's flip over to this here. Okay, when you scroll down the page, you'll see the information. My first Black Panther lecture right here. We'll put that on in digital download format as well. Then we have online course bundle right here. Okay, and this class here, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Next class, Wednesday, November 30th, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Click right here, register here, and it takes you to the next page. It takes you to our Learn World page, and you'll just click on enroll right here, follow the prompts, and then you can start watching the class. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And thanks for joining us. Follow us on our fan page, the African History Network. Turn on live notifications so you know when we go live. Follow us on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP. Also on Instagram under Michael Imhotep, IMHOTEP on Instagram as well. Okay, we'll talk to you next time. Right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Thanks for joining.